Hey guys, welcome back to episode 6 of Give and Take with Tay. I'm sitting down with a very special Adelaide guest today. Philip, how are you?
I'm just dandy.
You're dandy?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, well, I just want to say thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
That's all right, I like sitting down. It's the easiest part of the job.
It is, isn't it? I'm so excited to go into, obviously, something that's very passionate for you and that's been a big part of your life, fashion.
Yeah, it has.
It has, hasn't it?
It has. It was never meant to be, but it was and has been. And it still is. Still is, yeah.
Well, if you're ready, so am I. I think we should get down to it.
All right.
Let's do it. So, of course, the classic question, what was your childhood like growing up?
Oh God, my childhood. I'd say I was a very innocent and sheltered child. Incredibly strict, but pretty strict Christian upbringing.
Yeah.
With parents that were European descendants. So, you know, it was very much read your Bible and, you know, it was very much all that, you know, so there was no extracurricular activity, nothing that interfered with, you know, religious beliefs, you know. My life was very different, I guess, to the average kid, you know, no Christmas, no Easter, no birthdays.
Wow.
And I think I was just incredibly switched on. I understood things better than I let on, and I could read bullshit pretty well. So I knew when people were lying to me. So I often went and sought truth in school libraries and stuff like that. That's how I learned where babies came from. So, you know, like I just, I was smart in maybe academic and I think emotionally intelligent, and I knew how to interact and communicate with people incredibly well. But also, you know, I had the fear of God in me, and I was a goody two-shoes, and I never rebelled. I had lots of cousins that rebelled, but I was perfect for my parents. I mean, I'm still scared of my dad. So, I mean, that was my upbringing. I mean, it kind of all came to a head when I wanted to go to university, and, you know, that didn't seem to kind of sit well with the elders of the congregation that really just wanted me to get baptized and become a full-time door knocker. Wow. And there was really nothing wrong, biblically or religiously, for me to go to university, but they didn't like it.
That was your life, like that was...
Well, I did so well at school. I mean, you know, back then it was a TR score. I think they've changed it now to something else, but you know, I had an incredibly high TR score in the 90s. I wasn't going to waste it. I wanted to go and study and see what I could do, and it just didn't agree with them. And I knew at that point in time that that road and that
there was something there for you.
That belief system didn't work for me. I didn't belong there, and I went off to uni, and that was probably the beginning of my more worldly life and really living unsheltered, my eyes opening to a lot of things. And I guess that's where it all kind of started, you know, forging a career path, and, you know.
It's kind of like, it's when you became open in a sense, like you've had this life, this way of being, and you stepping out of that, you've now realized, wait a minute, there's so many different kind of ways of being that yourself could take on. Oh,
yeah. I mean, I grew up in a system that I guess you were taught to be incredibly judgmental because so many things were wrong. And through that, there's this complete fear of doing the wrong thing, because I still am to this day afraid of being humiliated or doing the wrong thing, which is what keeps me on the right track. But going into, you know, climbing out from under that rock, I got to know, embrace so many different types of people and lots of different things. I mean, that's, I guess, what becoming an adult is really, isn't it?
It really is, yes. So what first sparked the relationship between yourself and fashion in the first place?
When I studied, it was more based in communications, and then I did like lots of different components, marketing, and then visual, and I was always about being a good all-rounder and picking and curating what I needed to do to kind of hit all the right marks and kind of be good in all lots of different things. So when I stepped out, I was just kind of like, I was good at design. Branding was really my strength. Branding and that kind of part of marketing was my strength, and that's what I did a lot of. And I worked with a lot of not-for-profits at the time, because when you're at university, you haven't clocked up, real-time hours. And charities and not-for-profits were always something that I really enjoyed doing. Also, I kind of thought, I always came from the place where I felt like I'd been incredibly well looked after, so I had to give back somehow to those that didn't have it as good as me. And I grew up in school systems where everyone was very integrated, not just multiculturally, but there was an Ashford Annex, and there was a Centre for Hearing Impaired, and it was just, we were all kind of mixed together. And so I was used to being around lots of different types of people and the kind of aid and support they needed. And I was always jumping on board and doing things. So I think my first kind of collision with fashion was doing something for Jeans for Jeans Day campaign one year. And I contacted some local designers to get involved, and I ran this campaign through a large supermarket chain, which was owned by the Chapleys, which is Adelaide's finest supermarkets now. And the campaign was great, and like I said, I got in touch and met some, at the time, more what do you call it?
You kind of like, what I'm kind of getting a sense of, you found all of these skills, and there was the opportunity to show.
The more established, I guess, at the time, designers. I mean, that is what sparked my relationship with Liza Emmanuel. And she remembered me, and she called me back up, and she's like, oh my God, I need some stuff done for my branding and design, all this stuff. I need to make lookbooks. And I was like,
whoa, yes, give me.
Sure.
I'll do that.
Why not? And that started one of my longest working relationships with someone, but also one of my deepest friendships. She's been a big part of my life ever since. And then through her, it was starting to meet other people, and it just kind of started to steer me towards the fashion industry. I really became her little whipping boy for many years. Not that I minded, because I learned a lot of things, and
she was like a really good mentor for you.
In that sense. But at the same time, I had also met Bridget Mitchell, who owns Finesse Models Australia, and she took a liking to me for some reason, I don't know, but she just did. And then all of a sudden, it was like I was the son that she never had, and I'll take that. And again, that's probably one of my deep, longest running, deepest, closest relationships that I've had in my adult life. And she really looked after me and pushed me into areas and really cemented me in the fashion industry. And where my experiences and maybe my most, aspirational task jobs in the industry were really the ones that I was thrown in the deep end for, where I had no skill set. And Bridget was responsible for that.
Wow, thank you, Bridget. A lot of the time.
Because, I was just this young kid that needed work, didn't have money, and she'd be like, oh, this would be a good job. This is a lot of money. I'll put you up for it. I have no skill set. I have no experience. She goes, I lied for you.
But that's it.
That's how you do it.
It's how you learn. I think you know, coming even from personal experiences, when you are thrown in the deep end, despite you doing the best job ever, or let's just say it didn't even work out, at least you've done it and you've learned, and for next time.
The deep end's been the best way to learn, I'm not gonna lie. Because you always, I mean, when you are scared shitless and you don't want to fail, you have no choice but to step up and rise to the occasion. I mean, like I said, I was just really new and just kind of floating around. And she put me up for a stylist job, a big one.
Wow.
For a very big national retailer. I guess you can call it retail. Yeah, retail. I took the job and walked in there, literally into racks of hundreds and hundreds of outfits, and just was told to style them up, get them runway ready.
Wow.
And I was like,
and what was that feeling like when you? Because obviously, from what I'm getting is you found a family, and from these certain characters in your life who have become obviously very deep with you. And what was that like when that was it? You're looking through these clothes. Like, how did you feel during that moment?
Scared shitless, I didn't understand a thing. So this is what I did.
Yeah.
I treat everything like it's a subject that needs to be studied. So styling has a science to it, and it has its trends. So first you need to understand the science, which would be personal styling and body shapes and all of that. But then there's the commercial styling, and you need to understand what the client's brief is, what their key trends that they're pushing in marketing, and you know who their retailers are or their key designers are, and how to put them together. Once you understand all of that, the science and everything else comes together, and you just know what to do. And that's essentially what happened. And as I did it more and more, I was a quick study, and I really got on top of it, and I knew what I was doing. And I think my strength was I understood that it was truly marketing exercise. And a lot of people go into that with the thought of, I love fashion and I have style and I can make things look beautiful like it's art. But it's not always art. It's sales. And it's telling your audience that they really need it and they want to buy it, and making it as affordable but aspirational. And that's really what it always was, and that's something I was probably good at. Yeah. So, you know, for many years, I was the head stylist that kicked off the What's What campaign for Westfields here in South Australia, and then, you know, moved on to lots of other things. Been with the Maya Centre Maya now for a very long time. I'm not going to age myself. And in between that, I've taken so many other gigs and jobs, from being a fashion writer with News Limited. I had my own page in the Adelaide magazine for many years, and then being their junior, or like, what do you call it, like the assistant stylist, because the stylist that they brought in for their shoots came from interstate. It was a big deal. You know, head of wardrobe at Channel 9 for a time, and there was actually people there to dress.
You flourished, you really did.
Yeah, I just jumped onto every experience that was available, that I was offered. And the reason that these opportunities came up was because I was a very skilled networker. And back then they were called socialites. And being a socialite was kind of a dirty word. I don't know if it still is. But
I think it's used, like I've heard it, but I don't hear it often. I don't think it's the best word now. I think it's more like, I think it's being, I don't know, do you want to collab? Do you want to, you know, are you an influencer? I think influencers.
Collabs. Collabs are things that people want. When someone said, do you want to collab? That means they have no money. They want to use your skills for nothing. And
he's learned it the hard way.
Get something. Yeah, collab is just such a horrible.
What's your favourite word to use?
I think I've got a favourite word. Or like a favourite thing.
I think when you put a word to it, I think it takes away the essence. Yeah. You know, I think it, look, if two good people, two big brands, or if you're both aligned with it, it works. if someone is living just to the name instead of the action, I think that's where it does, you know. It's like you were saying about the whole social life.
Yeah, I mean that's where I was getting my opportunities, was by being a good people person. But I liked being around people. I liked finding new people, interesting people, and that worked to my benefit. I was always out there connecting, and I still do like to be a connector. One of the greatest compliments I was ever given was from Robin, who was one of the directors of the Adelaide Fashion Festival when South Australian Tourism Commission took it over the first year that they ran it. And you know, there was a whole group of new people for me to get to know from inside that government entity. And she said to me at the end of the week, she goes, "Filip, you don't know this, but you are like the industry glue, because you just glue everyone together."
Oh.
And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I am a connector.
I am glue.
I am the glue. But it was such a nice compliment that somebody had seen that I am a connector, because there are so many people in this industry that are more about stepping on top of each other. And, you know, everybody kind of wants to be the messiah of the industry and the savior of the industry and a big wig and all that kind of stuff. I really like it. I mean, my goal was I'd done my job well if I'd made somebody money. And if they had a successful collection, a successful range, a successful whatever it was show, then I'd done my job well. And like I said, I've always kept myself grounded in the charity and the not-for-profit work. And I always made sure that I set a goal to raise in that area as well. So, you know, never put your own desires first. Hasn't always done me well. Maybe sometimes I should have put myself and my desires first, because there's a lot of people that kind of like shot up there while I was still kind of like here.
But at least you're at that time, you were consciously aware that, hey, the ego shouldn't be the thing that rules this here. You kept it simple in a sense, like this is what they want, this is you know what I mean? It's good to obviously stay professional and be who you are, but in a sense you just put your action first.
And in that sense is my moral compass was set, and that was probably from my upbringing.
Yes.
And my moral compass was set, and never burn a bridge. You know, what goes up must come down, and I mean, just be loyal. Give to people what you expect back, and I expect loyalty and trust, and I've always maintained that with everybody, and I'm pretty sure there's really no one in the industry that could say that they haven't enjoyed or had a good experience working with me. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, and I think maybe that the proof is in the pudding there when I say, you know, the relationships I began with and nurtured and have had since I've been in that industry are still ongoing. I've never...
Well, Filip, focusing on your journey through the fashion sphere, what was it truly like starting out in Adelaide?
I guess for me, because it was a little bit accidental. Not like I didn't want to be there, but I did. And it was very exciting for me at the time that the people that I was being introduced to work with were, you know, the upper echelon success stories.
The kings and queens.
You know, and I was very privileged to be able to work with them when really I still couldn't figure out why. I didn't believe I brought any kind of real skill set to the table, but also they got to teach me. Like I wasn't maybe, already kind of pre-programmed by doing any kind of specific fashion industry based course. And I wasn't an aspiring designer. I just understood I just listened and learned. And you know, and through that I got to work with the kind of designers that people like work. You know, your George Gross and your Harry Hoos and you know, all of that. But also, I really didn't work for money. This is key. Don't let people take advantage of you, but be willing to learn, and you got to put yourself out there when you don't know. in order to get the experience. And look, I did years and years and years of working for nothing, but I just wanted the experience, and adding those names and those gigs and those whatever it was, brands and events to my CV, my portfolio, just enhanced me as what I had learned, what I could offer, and, you know, put me on to the next. I paid to send myself to Fashion Week. I mean, we didn't have any festivals or anything here in Adelaide at the time, so I paid to send myself to Fashion Week to you know, just go and
support it, be a part of it.
I mean, there was days where I would just be taping shoes backstage, and, you know, like that's kind of like the entry level. But, you know, like I said, there were South Australian designers that took me with them, and I got to work on their shows, and it just kept going. And I remember one year, Liza said to me, go out, party, network. And I was a little bit kind of shy in that sense. I was like, I can't go out and sneak into bars and you know, bullshit, know my way through. And she goes, yeah, you can lie. Everybody else does here. And it's true, everyone in Sydney does lie. They're full of shit. And I just went out there, and I remember I started schmoozing, met some designers. They said, oh, can you do some stuff with us? I was like, oh, yes, I can.
Oh, yes, please.
One of my favorites was a new brand called Nana Judy. And it was a menswear, like very casual menswear brand.
They have women's now, though.
Yes, they do.
I've got a few of their tops. I love it.
And that sparked a really good relationship that, again, added to my expertise. I even got to model for a couple of their seasons. So that was really nice to be a model. And he called me in to, you know, choreograph their shows at Fashion Week. I mean, one notable one was when they launched Heart by Nana Judy, which was the women's wear. And I came in and I choreographed, and I really got ribbed by, well, first of all, it was really hard for a lot of the Sydney-siders to see some random guy from Adelaide come in and start doing all these things like production, choreography. Where did he come from, and why is he doing it?
Bit of an underdog in a sense.
Why is he doing this? Why is he here? He's from Adelaide. When honestly, most people that were brought up in Sydney that don't really do anything but probably smoke weed on the beach. Everyone in Sydney's industries come from Adelaide and Perth. That's the truth. Yeah. Going to Channel 7, everybody there in that studio is from Adelaide and Perth. So anyway, I choreographed the show and to launch, and also I had also experienced the media pit and the media center, so I knew how it worked. Be an all-rounder, you know, get experience everywhere. So when I went to choreograph, I knew what pisses off the photographers in the pit. I've seen the photographers go back to the media center and call their subs and their editors and say, the models didn't walk in this area and blah, 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 and the choreography was shit, and I'm not even gonna bother sending you the photos. And that brand completely wasted 15 to, who knows, 40 something K on a show and gets no press coverage. So I knew what to do, and to launch this brand, I sent 5 girls out in a V formation in colored denim and different kind of crop bralette tops. And they come out, they start walking, like blah, 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 and they start crossing over into a V, and they hit a certain point in the runway and stop, and the photographers get like this hero image. And I just got ribbed by these, you know, the Sydney crew that couldn't understand why I would do shopping centre choreography. That's what they called it, shopping centre choreography. And I kind of went up to Glenn. I was kind of like, look, I know they're saying things, and he goes, just don't listen to them. He goes, you're the expert on this. You do it. So, okay. And I mean, I wasn't even really rattled. I just kind of felt a bit shitty because, you know, I felt like I was being
a little bit of just bullied in a sense, but like just for no reason. Like it's not like you purposely did something, but it's just the fact of who you are and where you come from.
Yeah, and
from there,
the bottom line is I knew what I was doing. Again, like I said, I had experienced it enough and done enough that maybe my shopping centre choreography was shopping centre choreography. It really wasn't, but but you know what? That V formation got them on the homepage banner on vogue.com.au that evening. So, which is not the ordinary for a streetwear brand. So, you know, I created a moment with my choreography. I knew what the photographers and the media pick would like, and I did my job for that client, and I just trusted my gut instinct, but I wouldn't have been able to do that without had enough experience in putting myself out there.
So you said something quite interesting, and I think a lot of people today struggle with, or they're not conscious to it. The fact of working, not getting paid. Sometimes when people go into a job or something pops up, and the fact that they're not getting paid, they instantly just say no because there's no money. But I think the best thing to leave people with sometimes is, even if you don't know if you're really passionate about it yet, or the fact that you're giving it a go and you're not doing it with the money behind your eyes, it could potentially lead you in a place that, you know what I mean, where abundance will come. So I think that's very important.
Do you know what I actually hate though? Is intern culture. When everyone advertises for an intern, they're just looking for an unpaid slave. That's really what they're looking for. And I don't like that. But what does irk me is, you know, when somebody so desperately wants to get into the industry and they'll come and do a couple of gigs with you, just doing the basics, learning from the ground up, you know, helping backstage dress models at a show, and, you know, just the pack ups, the pack down, the setups, the pack down.
All the important bits, things that
you learn. There's the shit kicking as well as, you know, the good stuff, and they want to do the shit kicking once and then skip to being the coordinator of the event, the creative director of the brand, and it just doesn't work like that. And usually for me, that's a sign that
is it their purpose, or is it just because you can get into a job and you can have people in those positions, but I think the personality within itself is very important too. Because if that it's not necessarily self-work, but if they are, you know, if they're willing and they're aligned with everybody, it's about everybody moving forward together, not just one person in the front because of that job.
Yeah, it'll come the right time when you've really built your experience, and your expertise will come, and you can charge and people will pay you for it. But I mean, I was a yes man for a long, long time. I'm still a yes man, but I mean, I was a yes man for a long, long time and got very little. And like I said, paid my way to go and do more free work. But it all added up because it gave me these opportunities to be a producer of runway shows, of the only couture runway shows at Fashion Week, and, you know, work with amazing designers and nurture my relationships with new emerging designers over the years that became now well-known designers. You know, like it's just, I really, really connected to people. And also, you know, still to this day, even designers that were on Project Runway, you know, just all that kind of stuff. It's just...
Well, Filip, what's been one of your most memorable moments in the industry? Like, what's been something that you've just never forgotten?
Oh.
Just a big one.
I don't know.
A lot's happened.
Yeah, a lot's happened. And so diverse as well.
Yeah. It just one of the highlights that you'll always remember and carry with you forever within the fashion industry.
God, I'd have to think really hard about that. There's lots of titles I've held that I felt I really earned and I got to do. Like I said, I got to be on the production and producer for a finale couture show at Fashion Week. I actually did quite a few shows at Fashion Weeks before it really just became a full clampdown and a full IMG in-house kind of a scenario. I mean, that was a big deal for me, but, you know, come back home to Adelaide and no one gave a rat's. You know, working with network stations, being the music director for the fashion festival, that was such a joy because I merged my love of music, because I've been DJing for a long time. Also, that emerged from the fashion industry because 2008, 2009, we all started to kind of feel we all started to feel the impact of this wonderful thing called the global financial crisis, and it really crippled budgets. There was no money. It was crippling people's businesses. I essentially thought at the beginning of it, oh my God, it's not touching us. We're fine. You know, you're reading the news and people, you know, bankers and businessmen are jumping out of windows, you know, because they can't, you know, see a future anymore. And I just kept seeing nothing change. And I was so frivolous with money, and work was just booming for me. And I was not smart, and it just lagged a little bit. It hit us and it went down. So I had to learn how to kind of cover all areas. So runway soundtracks, I had to learn how to mix them myself. And that then sprung and became like a fork in the road towards DJing in nightclubs and stuff, because a promoter, a very well-known and successful promoter at the time, contacted me and said, I'm starting a new night, do you want to DJ for me? And I said, no, I go to the club to see my friends DJ. I'm not a DJ. And he goes, well, you do it for like the shows and everything, don't you? I was like, yeah, but that was really self-taught. And he goes, well, do it for an audience. And I knew what they were thinking. They were thinking, if Filip comes to DJ at our venue and
he'll be able to do more.
He's got, you know, he's got a fashionable sensibility, and the models will come to our nightclub and all that kind of stuff. I said, okay, I'll try it out on one condition. I don't want to be DJing like R&B and hip hop, because like I said, I was still really new to it, and I felt very amateurish, and R&B and hip hop is a bit more complicated for somebody that isn't skilled, because the BPM range is just like from there to there.
So what's kind of happened is it's kind of like, now that you've not just fashion, but it's opened so many other personal doors for you, like DJing.
Yeah, and again, that was like being thrown in the deep end. Because even though I said, don't make me do that, the first set I was rostered on for was in the R&B room at this club, and I had to figure it out quick smart.
Wow.
But do you know what? Again, for years and years and years, I was only an R&B and hip hop DJ, and it got me gigs in the big clubs. So it was great. It really springboarded me.
So who are some of your favourite fashionistas, if you don't mind me asking?
What is a fashionista?
Well, in my sense, it's kind of like someone who, I don't know, someone who's, I guess, not virtually up there, but maybe important to you. Is there anyone that you've looked up to in the fashion sphere globally or nationally, or someone from Adelaide? Is there anyone that you've, you know, had a real love for?
No, not really. I've never really looked at people as fashion icons or fashionistas. I mean, sorry, I'll take that back. Princess Diana, yes. To me, is like somebody that really kind of went there as a fashion icon, but she created moments. So, you know, you remember things because there were moments around what she wore and who dressed her. And I'm sure we'll have more of those kind of figures in our history. But I don't necessarily look at people as fashion leaders in that sense. I never really have. I've never bothered. I know people like to go on Instagram and look and go, oh my God, she's amazing, scroll, tap, and all that kind of stuff. And there are people they think are, you know, trendsetters. But, you know, the Kim Kardashians and I don't know who else really, not to me. Like that's not who I'm looking to as
inspiration.
No,
it comes from within yourself. It's like you kind of create instead of rely or.
Yeah, I mean, it's never really been an interest to.
Well, Princess Diana, she's gorgeous.
Yeah,
I love it. No one's replaced her ever. I don't think anyone can.
No. I mean, I do love my royals. So shame on you, Harry. No.
Shame on you.
No, but you know, I love my royals, and I mean, I love Princess Diana. I think everyone does. She was the people's princess.
Well, Filip, focusing on your challenges, what have been some of those challenges, and how did you overcome them?
My challenges, okay. try and think of some scenarios.
As simple as a wardrobe malfunction, maybe something that you've planned, or something's gone wrong live during a show, or what's kind of been a challenge which you've noticed and you're like, oh no, we must fix this immediately.
I feel like there's always going to be a challenge. Not ever does anything go 100% to plan, and you've always got to be prepared for the unexpected. There will always be something that goes wrong. So you're just going to have to go with the flow. So I don't feel like there's any challenges in that sense. Because if it can go wrong, it probably will. It's how you're prepared to overcome it that is really. I mean, some people just like kind of fall apart and bury their head in the sand and just can't get on with it. But I'm just prepared for
very persistent
for things to kind of like go a bit wrong and just be a problem solver.
Yeah.
Because I do believe if COVID has taught us one thing is to be patient. We have time. Yeah, so I don't know about challenges.
You just kind of get on with it in a sense.
I just kind of just jumped from here to there and gone with the flow. I don't know.
Well, for those who have a very strong passion for fashion, particularly in Adelaide, what is the best advice you would give them to kind of best start their careers if they're not really sure how?
Reach out and contact people that you possibly, could give you the experience that you want. Be a yes man to a degree.
The yes man.
Be a giver, like, give a bit of yourself to a cause. Like I said, what was really fundamental for me and still is immersing yourself in not-for-profit activities, because that will really help you gain lots of experience in lots of different areas by doing that kind of volunteering. Volunteering is just essential. And yeah, be a good people person. One thing I really struggle with is seeing a complete shift in personalities between these two generations. And you wouldn't believe it, but the similarities are so strong between millennials and Gen X and even the boomers, because all of our upbringings were somewhat similar before that hardcore digital age came in and flipped everything. Fast forward, and then you've got the Gen Z or the iGen generation, and they've been brought up in a world that always had internet from the day they were born, and was a technological era. Probably had computers in the classroom from reception onwards.
Yep, that was me.
Yeah, and I see my cousins' children sitting in their bedrooms with these headsets on and talking to their friends over the computer. When I was in high school, that would have made you a geek. And it was not cool, but now it's how they all do it, and they all are in classes on tablets, and that's how they bully each other, through tablet messages. Like, I was like, oh my God, when I was at school, you bullied each other by throwing bark at them on the action station and pushing them off the flying fox. Yeah. So it's such a huge
such a shift, isn't it?
So what I see now is I used to work with models backstage at shows. They were personality plus, and it was always a good time, and we really appreciated that we were there. Everything was special. Now when you do castings and go backstage at shows, and the models, they're all...
Are they all just like this?
They're like this. And even worse, it's so hard to get personality, because I guess they don't know how to convey emotions, because the only emotions they know how to convey is through an emoji. So
it's like, what you're trying to say is really... obviously thank the technology for bringing us all together in a sense, but also the polarity of that is, you are a human being and you should have a simple conversation.
Be personable.
Yes.
Don't be dead weight personality, because that's what it's like. And social justice isn't an everyday cause to, create, you don't need to create a conflict and a cause in every social scenario. Ease it down. The world is not Twitter. It's just, I mean, a very different outlook and personality and behavior. You've got to be personable. And you've got to give a little. And it's just becoming harder and harder to get that out of, a generation that really is only 10 years younger than me.
Well, Filip, what does fashion truly mean to you?
Oh.
If you could perhaps give it a meaning, or if you were the first person to write a definition in the Oxford Dictionary, what is fashion to you and what does it represent?
First of all, fashion is a business. It is something that helps spin and drive economy. It gives people work, gives people jobs, gives them a purpose. It's good for creatives, but it's good for anybody that is a sewer and a seamstress, to people with marketing and styling and all that kind of stuff. People's life, people's life earnings, of their retail brands, their stores. It's very multifaceted, and it really in some cities and some countries even that are, it's such a key economic driver, and brings in a lot of money for some. And some cities like ours, maybe not so much, we're not known. But here in South Australia, altogether, our fashion industry is $1 billion industry. Why has that not been focused on? It seems because usually when the powers that be look at our industry, they look at it for the wrong reasons. AFF was a perfect example of that. I know it excited a lot of people that we had a fashion festival. Hey, I loved the paycheck being a music director there. But the truth of the matter is, the reason we had AFF was because at the time, the then premier of the state wanted to drive his relations with China. And the entire premise was based on driving his relations with China, bringing those giant Chinese designers, entertaining them, hosting them, putting them on a platform, and then, maybe vice versa, exchange more industry. Our local designers were put on the runway. Even I put my own brands on the runway because it did nothing for me. It gave me no sales, but it gave me great runway photos for my brand.
The photos were stunning.
Was there any wholesaling done? Were buyers in the audience? What did it do as a festival for the buying public? Did they know where to go and buy from these designers, or how to get something made couture? Or no. It
was kind of like just a show, but
it was a hype event to connect certain entities in that government and at that government level to springboard themselves and connect to the Vogues and all that kind of stuff, bring out over expensive influencers or models that no one, just the everyday public, cared about. It was a great hype, but it didn't drive sales and money into our economy or into any of those designers' hands or retailers' hands. It didn't. It was all based on connecting to China.
Well, honing in on that, if you had, let's say, a magic wand and you could kind of recreate or improve Adelaide's fashion stigma and kind of like our history with fashion and all the events, what would you change and why? How would you do it?
That's not up to me, but if I waved a wand, we definitely need a body, an entity for, not a union, but an entity for the industry. There are so many gaps. One of the things I often dealt with was, emerging designers that would leave their tables, whatever, and they really wanted to understand how to turn it into a business, but they're not taught the business side. They're taught how to be designers. Really, it depends what area you really want to focus on, but be transparent. If you're going to put on a show or an event, really be transparent about what it's for and what the results are and what you want from your audience and what you want from the designers and the brands and everything like that. I finally, after a year of everything being put on ice because of COVID, can restart all my annual events. So Black Dress will be back, followed by a few more. And I make it very clear what my events are. I actually name them so basically so people know what they are, i.e. the Black Dress. And that will be attached to a beneficiary and a good night, because people want the bang for their buck. If they're going to pay to go somewhere, they don't know. They want to know what the drinks package is, what entertainment they're going to get, all the whole thing.
What I'm kind of getting from you is a simple, clear communication.
Yes.
Between all forms.
Yes.
That's it, as simple as that. Just clear linguistics to be able to get through it.
Don't muddy the waters. Just be clear and concise and straight to the point, and who benefits, how we all benefit, and I try to make sure everyone benefits. But that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Did I mention Black Dress will be back this year?
Yes, you did. We'll definitely put that in the comment section. Following history and fashion, from your point of view, what are the positive and negative effects of being in South Australia? Because you mentioned obviously AFF and your opinion of that. What are the positive and negative effects of being a creative in Adelaide, being a model, being a designer? What's the positive of it and what's the negative of it?
Positive is that a lot extremely talented and creative people come from Adelaide and South Australia in general. I think artistically there is a very nurturing system around artistic people, even in your educational universities, all that kind of stuff it's very embraced. The benefits, you got to pave your own way. You got to forge your own path, no matter what and where you come from. And maybe you might be a bit tougher because you come from Adelaide. But what I would say is don't be that person that thinks you're too big for Adelaide. That happens when you're in your early 20s a lot. And then they pack up, move to Melbourne or Sydney and realise that it's a shit fight and they really can barely afford to pay the rent that they've got, and they really are just not excelling. I mean, I always had the one thought process: if you feel like you're too big for the pond, add more water.
No, that's
expand it into an ocean, grow it. There is so much here that can benefit you. And if you don't like it, change it.
Honestly, I really relate to that in a sense, like the amount of models or people that I've met who, let's say, big passion, love it, live it, breathe it, but then they just all of a sudden, oh no, Adelaide's not good enough, I'm going to move to Sydney. It happens so often in the industry, and then that's it. It's like this beautiful talent that could sprout and grow and manifest their own beautiful pathway, like you were saying, in Adelaide, creating your own iconic self. They go to Sydney and it's kind of like they kind of just become part of that niche, I guess. No hate on Sydney, it's just, I don't know, you're completely correct about Adelaide. You can do so much here.
So the moral to that is keep your ego in check.
Damn straight.
No one's bigger than the picture. We're all a part, we're all cogs in the machine, so that's what I mean. That's where I always came from. It's like I knew that I was just part of the process, and I like to learn all the processes. But yeah,
that's pretty much the bottom point.
Yeah.
Keep your ego in check, guys. Well, following last year events, how was the fashion industry impacted by everything? And do you believe it's been impacted, but there's also been improvement in a sense? Like what's your opinion of the whole coronavirus and fashion?
Oh, look, crippling. But that's across many industries. I mean, all you need to do is take a walk down what was our, premier shopping precincts, some King William Road, Rundle Street, and Rundle Mall, to see how many empty leases there are hoarded up. Bricks and mortar is really struggling, but most brands are struggling. Online, it made things accessible, but even still then, there's a bit of a false economy happening. Everyone's getting their stimulus through their job keeper, their job seeker. So there will still be many, many more hard times to come. Even I shut down some of my online stores just because I wasn't getting product manufactured, you know. How could I? People couldn't go to work to manufacture it, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's, there's been big changes, and people have had to be smart with the way they budget in their businesses too. There are some that never saved for a rainy day. And it's a learning curve, a learning experience for everybody. And some people obviously haven't been able to survive, and some will have to come back a bit more refined and smaller, and, you know, stick to the basics, but that's not a bad thing. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, travel and all of that is so essential sometimes to these industries for models. For models that actually are star models that sit on an international board, you know, with the big ones like IMG, and they're not traveling. They're stuck in within their borders, within their countries. That stops. That shuts down part of the economy, you know. But it's been like that for everybody. So I mean, we can't kind of.
So what's the improvement side of it though? So what are the good things that have come out of last year?
A good hard reset, and I loved it. 2020, I think for me, but I always worked super opposite to everybody else. It was the best year I'd had in such a long time, and I flourished creatively and with all my projects, and, you know, really got on top of things, and maybe did a bit more reformatting, redesigning, rethinking of a lot of the projects and brands that I had on the go. I used that time to develop and really fix and plan and learn. I mean, if you were sitting at home in lockdown and just watching Netflix and stuff, you were wasting your time. You could learn something. That's what I think is the bright side of it. You know, the light at the end of the tunnel is that we all took a hit financially, but it was a good time to start up and a few new things, maybe some passion projects that you could turn into something. That's what I did.
That's amazing. Well, focusing on what you do and the light at the end of the tunnel, finally, the big question, focusing on your own work, what exactly do you do and supply for the fashion industry?
Oh, this is the question I've avoided my whole life.
Well, let's hear. So
do you know what was it was so hard to explain all the things that I did, and people used to refer to me as a stylist, which was just, I guess, the easy way to try and figure it out. But I never kind of thought of myself as a stylist. And I hated that when people run up to me in the night time and go, "What do you think of what I'm wearing?" I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even notice, I don't care. I'm not looking at what you're wearing, I'm not that person. So it's so hard because, like I said, I try to learn everything. And I was doing so many different things. I mean, at a time I was a fashion commentator on the radio, but I was writing a men's fashion column in the paper, and then I was doing wardrobe for networks, and, you know, like it was just like a small, I was the buffet. Like, I was the jack of all trades, but probably jack shit at all trades. It was, what am I? Like, what do I do? Production, I know media, and still to this day, I like to try new things and throw myself in new areas and kind of master that. But I mean, I even hosted an infomercial on Channel 7 for a while, because hosting and emceeing was such a big passion as well. I still love hosting and interviewing. So, you know, like, what is it called? What do I do? How
are your brands going, Filip? Tell me about your brands.
Oh, I finally got that shit together. Like I said, production was hard last year, so just getting that back on track and sampling and everything like that. I've got Romp Squad. So Romp Squad started with the whole romper. So it was really good festival wear. And the aim was to go through a few of those seasons and then branch out into, you know, separates and a bit more of a men's overall line, which we're moving into, and bow tie label, which, you know, again was tough because, you know, I got my sales off of, you know, being featured on those red carpet events, you know, whether they were Brownlows or Arias or, you know, Logies or Carols by Candlelight, you know, and those didn't happen last year. So it gave me time to take the website down, redesign, rebrand, all of that kind of stuff, and put it back up and be a bit more of a better functioning site. So I'm that's where it is now, and got a lot of stock to launch. I need to launch the baby line and the boys junior line for the bow tie brand. So done most of the shoots for that. Babies are incredibly hard to shoot for campaigns. So oh my god.
But like, they're so cute though.
They are. You get adorable photos and like, come on, babies, that is an industry to get into. It's just like mothers buy everything for their babies, just like they will. The bridal industry is an amazing industry to get into. Like,
there'll always be babies and there'll always be brides.
That's right. That's right. You know.
Well, Filip, how do the audience support you and what you're doing? What's the best way they can get involved and be a nice, strong stand for you in Adelaide?
Subscribe to my OnlyFans. Jokes. I'd have to pay people to look at that. Supporting me is supporting others, though. I mean, like I said, we're all parts of the machine. It's spending your money locally that keeps us all employed and keeps us all kind of the minutiae of our industry kind of, you know, selling moving forward. That's how you do it. Before you go online and order from an ASOS or something like that, because you need a throwaway outfit to shoot on for Instagram, think about, you know, who is doing it here, who's got an awesome store nearby that, you know, is a small business retailer that, you know, you could be spending your money there, or that's what it is. And you know, if you're looking for a great night out, what kind of fabulous events are being thrown on our calendar that is run and produced by South Australian entities, or might be supporting, you know, a not-for-profit that needs a hand. Those are the ways.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Filip. Well, moving forward, are there any final words or anything else that you want to highlight before the end of this episode 6?
Oh, episode 6. I didn't even make the top 5.
I'm so sorry. That's my fault. But you're here, don't worry.
Any parting words? Oh, no, I think I've said so much already. I'm be surprised if anyone held on to this point.
Well, what about for the people who are kind of in a weird zone or that twilight zone, what kind of support or something that you could give to them that could just light the fire to their fire?
Snap out of it. Seriously, I don't have time for the woe is me stories. I'll listen, but you know what? You need to light your own ass and get on with it. I mean, that's it. I think these days people need to be cradled a little bit too much, but like I said, you forge your own path. You put yourself out there. You make things happen, and do it. Don't use excuses. I used excuses for a little while after the financial crisis. Oh, I'm not making the same money. Oh, I'm not in my business. But you know, that was really me. I wasn't really pushing myself out there even harder, and it was harder. Worked twice as much to make half as much money, you know, for years after that. But no, don't rest on excuses. Put yourself out there. Find another angle. Connect. Be a good networker.
Well, that's it, guys. You heard it straight from Filip. Thank you so much. That's it. Uncensored Adelaide Fashion. Thank you for watching episode 6. That's it. We're done. See you guys. Woo!
Oh, yeah.